especially the Secretary, Noreen Mia Afan Sahib, that's her name. I would like to say that it's been a nice evening, and it's just a surprise that I'm actually here today, and I would like to thank this organization to consider me. I will be speaking on a few points, so I'm not going to take much time. I'm going to try to make a summary, but it's going to be about 10 points I'm going to be speaking. It's going to be starting from the past, and it's going to be some of the present, but at the same time, I believe that we should be talking more about solutions, because there has been issues which have been spoken about in the last 76 years, since the freedom has taken place. Okay, so the topic for today was actually democratic fascism in South Asia. So mostly I'm going to be talking about South Asia, and it talks about Bangladesh elections 2024 and regional implication. Okay, first thing I'm going to say is, what does it mean by a democratic fascism? So I will actually say it means that a dictator in an outfit called democracy. But the problem with our society, especially South Asia, is that we have been ruled by other countries, especially United Kingdom. They have ruled most of the South Asia for a long time. Now, because we have been ruled for a very long time, so we actually used to become those people who take orders, not give orders. But when we are being put into a role of giving orders, we have been worse than the dictators, we have been worse than the communities, we have been worse than the British and other people who have actually ruled us. So what I was saying is, unfortunately, the countries being part of the colonial role, as I said earlier, till today, consider democratic fascism as democracy. So we don't understand actually what is democracy, because we have been ruled by so many people. And after they actually went, our own communities took over, and they actually made it more worse. And that's one of the reasons we see a lot of issues happening in South Asia, like Bangladesh, now Pakistan, we see India. India is suffering as well, although India is a major part of the issues in South Asia. And we see other countries like Bhutan, we see Nepal, and we see countries which are actually not even under India, like for example Kashmir, because I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce myself. So as you know my name, so I am the president of the Voice for Kashmir, and I'm at and I'm the I'm the information secretary for Kashmir as well, and we do arrange seminars at the parliament, and we have protests as well. And today I've actually come here as the chairperson for Voice of Asia. So as I'm going to be carrying on speaking to you, it is easy to let go, and it's easy to actually fight occupation than a slave mindset. Now, what is a slave mindset? A slave mindset is a colonial mindset, because when we are under occupation, we actually are made into that person, as I said earlier, that we only say yes to every single thing. We don't say no. They actually make us like machines which just obey orders. And this thing travels fast like cancer. So this thing, like colonial mindset, it actually travels faster like cancer, and it goes from one generation to the other generation. So it's something that's not easy to actually get rid of. As we see that 76 years of freedom, but we're still suffering with the same colonial mindset. The other example is actually the biggest example is South Asia, and the reason why we are here today is one of the main reasons that we have been suffering colonial mindset. And due to that reason, we have a lot of issues in our countries at the moment. So we need to look for solutions to actually break the chains. As I said earlier, 76 years of suffering in the South Asia and other neighbor countries in South Asia. Now, I would just suggest that one of the things that what we can do, because of what is due to the human rights violation which are happening in Bangladesh, maybe it is to reach the Commonwealth. Because if you speak to the Commonwealth, any country which are under the Commonwealth, if you make a complaint that there are human rights violations happening there, they consider it and they can put sanctions on the countries, or they can even remove them from the Commonwealth. So this could actually be one of the solutions to actually what is happening in Bangladesh. I'm not going to say much because the speaker before me, Abdul Qasim Sayyid Ali, barrister, actually said a lot, so I'm not going to go into detail, but I can give a reference to that. I would also say that South Asia is not only suffering because it has Muslims. There's one other issue which is very common between the countries that that one of the honorable speaker was actually saying, it being Muslim, is Hindutva. Now, many of us don't understand Hindutva, we don't talk about Hindutva. What is Hindutva? Hindutva means, number one, it means Hindu, and Tava means purity. So if you want to actually consider yourself a pure Hindu, you have to be Hindutva. Now, this is actually manipulating Hindus, and Hindus need to be saved by this thing as well. Because Hindutva, the father of Hindutva, Savaskar, if you know, he wasn't a Hindu, he was atheist. But he used Hinduism so he can gather the Hindus, he can manipulate them, and at the same time he was against the Muslims. So if you look at India at the moment, and if you look at Hindutva, they keep on blaming Islam, they keep on blaming Muslims that they are the extremists. But if you look at it, we are not extremists, they are the extremists. But what they do is, they want Hindus and Muslims to fight with each other, and then they label Muslims and Muslim countries extremists. So this Hindutva thing needs to be actually be explained, because many of us think that Hindus are Hindutva. No, because if we don't actually know what it means, it's considered a hate speech, and hate speech is a criminal in this country. So when we speak about it, we need to be very sure what we are talking about. Hinduism is a simple way of life, and Hindutva means that basically extremism, that if you don't believe in it, you are not a Hindu. So the Hindus are themselves victims which are being manipulated. If we can clear this mindset with the Hindus, if we can stand with them, we can make sure that this Hindutva thing is finished. We don't suffer. We can see this Hindutva has reached the UK. We see what happened in Leicester, and what happened in Leicester has been repeated. And they keep on saying that we are going to be marching in London as well. So it's coming towards us now as well. So it's like in simple words, because I'm very active on Twitter, so I actually made my hashtag Hindutva is Nazism. Because if you look at the Hindutva mark, it's the same as Nazism. And what did Nazism happen is, as the Honorable just said before me, that Hitler, he was the father of Nazism. So what happened is, started from Germany, and what they said is they wanted to exclude the Jews. But it took over the world, and the Second World War took place, which lasted for 6 years. So if we are not careful now, and if we don't raise our voices now, the Third World War will be in Asia, and the West wants it to be in Asia, because the Second World War was in Europe. Now, with Hindutva, the other thing is that we need to consider is that Hindutva is actually playing with little minds, like children, like they actually brainwash you as a child. So if you listen to Modi's speeches, he says that when he was a child, he was a part of Hindutva, and we know everything about Modi. That Modi is the first prime minister who is an international criminal, because he was banned from Europe, from America. And it's not that his ban is over, it's temporarily taken away because he's a prime minister. When you become a prime minister, you get international immunity. That means that anything you do, you actually can't be actually prosecuted for anything till you are a prime minister, and that's one of the reasons why Modi wants to carry on being a prime minister. And you know what? I don't call him a prime minister. I call him Maharaja Modi, because he wants to stay a prime minister till he's alive. So he's doing every single thing, every single trick. He can stay the prime minister for life. Why? What is he doing every day? He's playing Muslim, Hindu all the time. Because as I said, Hindutva believes in like seeing Muslims and Hindus fight, and it benefits from it because it manipulates the Hindus, it uses the Hindus, and it finishes the Muslims, and it labels them extremists. So it's very important that we teach our children. It's very important that we actually know about it, and it's very important we report it. Now, one main thing I will like to explain to you in my words. I say Hindutva has occupied the peace of South Asia. I say Hindutva has occupied the democracy of Bangladesh. I say Hindutva has occupied the land of Kashmir, and I say India has occupied the identity of the Sikhs. Because if you look at the Indian Constitution, Article 25, it talks about freedom of religion. But Article 25A, what does it speak about? Rejection of Sikhism. Basically it says that Sikhs have to live, marry, die, and pass on the property on to Sikhs under the Hindus. They consider Sikhs as Hindus. So it's a big contradiction in India's own constitution. The other thing, India has a lot of draconian laws, and I came across the laws of Bangladesh. So some of the laws I came across is Digital Security Act 2018 and Information Communication Act 2006. Now these two laws are same as India's law, like they call it Information Technology Act 2000. So it's very, very similar. So what I came to see is that many draconian laws which are in Bangladesh at the moment are inspired by India. And the other thing I actually see is the Anti-Terrorism Act 2009, like it's actually same like in India's Public Safety Act, which is in Kashmir, and National Security Act 1980, which is in India as well, and then same like Unlawful Activities Prevention Act 2019, which has been amended. So they're very, very similar. And the last thing I came across was in the Bangladeshi law is the Special Powers Act 1974, and it reminds me of the Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which was implied in 1957 in the seven sister states which are near Bangladesh, and then it was implied in Punjab in 1983, and then it was implied in Kashmir in 1990, and it's still there. Now under this law, you can rape and you can kill. So I call it hate law. So you can get away with it because the armed forces are being given impunity. That means that whatever they do, they're not answerable. They are the judge, they are the solicitor, and they are the prosecutor. They're everything. Police, army, everything. So I think that if you want to do something for your country, maybe it's looking into these laws and highlighting them. Letting the world know that these laws are draconian laws. They are below the international standards of the safety of the human beings. And at the same time, if you consider the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, there are violations to that. And one more main thing, maybe you can say that they are inspired by the Indian laws. So these Indian laws are draconian laws, and they are a big violation of India's own constitution. Because in India's constitution, everybody is equal. You have equal rights if you're under the flag. And these laws are go against it. And some of these laws talk about detention, as I heard earlier, like from these speakers. Now many people are being detained in actually Bangladesh. And it's the same thing which is happening in Indian occupied Kashmir as well. So this detention, which law India is using, they are invalid. And I'm not going to go into detail because I did my research on it. They are totally invalid. And some of India's laws, like basically, they are illegal, like Armed Forces Special Powers Act. And some of India's laws, which are sedition laws, the time of the English, 1860. And even at the moment, these laws are used in India. I'm not sure that if they are actually used in Bangladesh, but these are the laws time of when the British were there. So British have actually abolished them. So the last time in UK, when this law was abolished, was 2009. So UK has no sedition law, because if you have a sedition law, that means that freedom of expression can't be used. And in UK, they have a law of human rights, and that was in 1998, and there's Article 10, which talks about freedom of expression. And under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 10, this is something to remember, it talks about freedom of speech. So we can use these things for the countries suffering in South Asia, because it's Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So make sure that when you talk, when you write, or when you pass information on, write articles, you mention this. It's very, very important. Well, one thing else I came across, very interesting, I can see that India has made Citizen Amendment Act 2019, which is CAB, like Citizen Amendment Bill. Now, under this one, the community which is suffering the most are Bangladeshis, because it doesn't want Bangladeshis to enter India. Although it says Pakistani, Afghani and other Muslim neighbor countries actually can't enter India, they can't claim a right to be Indian, but mostly it targeted on the Bangladeshi community. Now I would like to ask you all, if somebody can answer me, and I will carry on with my speeches, what has Bangladesh done in response to it? Has Bangladesh made any law to stop Indians from coming to Bangladesh? I hear a lot of Indians love working in Bangladesh because they save taxes. They actually come to Bangladesh.
It is the fourth largest source of remittance for India.
Yes. So my question is that, like,
it offsets the amount of money we send to Bangladesh, $12 billion a year. Indians earn $10 billion a year from Bangladesh.
So I was wondering, has Bangladesh thought about making any law against it to stop them from coming?
No,
our government supporting. They love Bangladesh. Love.
Our government.
Yes. because this is where I'm coming, because I know that at the moment Sheikh Hasina, she likes India a lot. So everything what is happening in Bangladesh is under her supervision, and this is why I said that Hindutva, I didn't say India, I said Hindutva is occupying the democracy of India, of Bangladesh. So this is something very, very important that you need to know, and this is why you're suffering. So you need to put pressure on your government to make a law, like enact a law which is going to be in favor of the rights of the Bangladeshis and stop India from coming. So they can actually learn a lesson and they will see that like you can strike back. But I know it's not easy.
It's like telling